I think between extending something that's already there and actually creating something that, on paper is exactly what you want. And so you need the confidence in the person that you're dealing with to deal with all the problems that you don't know are going to come up.
So the first top tip is, if you want a massive Christmas tree, get a huge hallway. Don't take up any room in any of the living space. Hello and welcome back to the Self Builders Podcast. I'm Mike Paulie, your host. Today we are kindly joined by Paul Grice, who is one of Mayflower's self-build mortgage clients. He's coming on to share all the trials, tribulations, the do's and the don'ts for everybody listening who wants to get into self-build. We had a little chat before we've hit the record button for the podcast, and I think this is going to be interesting. Given what Paul's already told me. So how we normally, thanks for coming on, Paul, appreciate it.
No worries.
How we normally start is I like to get a picture. So I don't know, your project necessarily, from that brief chat, you probably realise that, but I love to get a picture of what you've done. So if you could paint a picture to the listeners of what it was, what it looks like, the type of building, that sort of stuff. And then everyone, I think, can get a good visual in their mind's eye.
All right. Super. Okay. So I think you're at a stage in life where you just think to yourself, do I do this or do I not do this? So we had a lovely house and then I decided to sell it, and we bought a sort of old bungalow with no insulation, but in a nice area. So it was sort of the wrong property in the right location that sat on quite a bit of land. And then basically had to decide what to do with it. So, that was the first step was finding the plot or finding the land that we wanted to do what we wanted to do. And then it was a case of, well, do we just extend this now, or do we go the full hog and demolish it and rebuild it?
Yeah. And what did you go for?
Well, we went for the first option, planning wise, and then it just became, the numbers didn't add up. So what we were going to achieve was not going to be, it still wasn't going to be right. So I took a note of some decent properties that I'd seen not too far from here, and managed to find out who the architect was for those properties, and got in touch with him. And then we went down the road effectively of putting in planning for two properties, and obviously the demolishing of the one that we were currently in. So that was the first step. And then we were able to actually, with the help of the architect, of course, design the house exactly how we wanted it. And, and that's the difference, I think, between extending something that's already there and actually creating something that, on paper is exactly what you want.
Yeah, I've done it. You're working around the existing structures and trying to do it as best you can, but it's never the same, is it, as doing it ground up?
No, very difficult, because you're working with a can of worms that you're about to open as well. So you never really know what you're going to get yourself into, effectively.
Yeah, no, I agree. So what did you guys go for? Are you is it traditional looking buildings? Are they both different? Yeah. Are they fairly similar?
So what we've got here, because we're on a sort of corner plot, and we've got, so we were able to create two accesses. So we've got a 4-bed house, and then the other plot we had got planning for a 3-bed bungalow, which in the area that we were in, I thought was a good idea, because it's sort of a village environment, with pubs and schools and everything like that. But it seemed like, well, it's a beautiful bungalow, to be honest. So, it was a good idea. It was a good idea.
So are they traditional looking sort of brick exteriors, or have you gone different type of exterior? Yeah, nice.
No brick exteriors. We've got render. So there's render in the centre, a nice archway leading to the porch, and then effectively you've got obviously the rooms as you come in the hallway off to each side, with the kitchen and family room at the back.
Yeah. Nice stairway going up the middle of the hallway sort of approach, or off to the side.
It's to the side, but that was another thing. We fancied a nice, decent sized hallway, which a builder friend of mine says, "What you doing that for?" Because that's wasted space. And we were going, well, actually, that's what we want.
It makes a difference, though, doesn't it? When you walk in and you've got all that room, the bit of a slightly higher level, wider, it makes a massive difference, I think.
Well, it makes a difference now that we've got a Christmas tree there at this moment in time, because all of a sudden you can have quite a large Christmas tree that doesn't really take up any great room. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, lovely. So the first top tip is, if you want a massive Christmas tree, get a huge hallway. Don't take up any room in any of the living space. and a decent void that the Christmas tree can go up into as well. Yeah.
Fair one. How did you find the planning, Paul, when you bought the property?
Yeah, the planning was surprisingly relatively straightforward. I mean, fortunately, we were in the envelope that building can take place, so that was good. But I was really quite surprised that I think it from start to finish, planning going in to planning consent being given, was 13 weeks, which is quite incredible.
That's really good.
You know, I've spoken to various other people, and I didn't really think of this at the time. But, you know, various other people, it's taking months, years.
Sometimes. Yeah.
So I don't know whether that was, I think we were quite lucky there, to be honest. But
good local authority, potentially. Like, you know, sounds like they're on it.
Yeah, well, the worrying thing with the local authority was that we were aware that a lot of the planning officers had left. So perhaps the planning office was in a bit of a difficult situation. But I also kept on, hopefully on the right side of the parish council, because obviously it has to go to the parish council. Yeah. And we only had one issue really, but generally it sort of flew through both things. And there were some tweaks we had to make along the way. But effectively with the planning, what we put in, basically ticked a lot of the boxes straight off. And so the planning officers wasn't coming backwards and forwards all the time, asking for this and that and the other, you know?
It sounds, it's done well there. I suppose you've designed something that is fit into the local environment. We've had knockdown and rebuild cases. They're a little easier, aren't they, normally, because the dwelling's already there, like you said, but we've had some that have taken nearly a year. And we had a team meeting the other day, and it's and it's interesting what you say with the local authority, the planning officers leaving. Pretty much everyone we speak to, like I speak to on here, or we speak to at shows or stuff like that, seems to be like really undermanned. People are leaving, people are retiring, and they're just not replacing them, which is sort of compounding the problem, I think, why they're getting a bad rap. But they must be under the cosh, I think.
Yeah,
a lot of the places.
Well, they're all under pressure, and I think a lot of them think, well, I don't need this pressure. But you know, hopefully those sort of things are only going to get better from where we were sort of 2 years ago when we put this plan in.
Yeah, went to an interesting conference a while ago, a bit off piece, but about the planning system and how it's going to change. But it's a 10-year sort of program the government have got, so it'll probably be 20. But it was interesting. It will sort of be more automated and things like that. Do you think the architect was worth having for the sort of advice around the planning and design?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, there are architects and there's architects. Yeah. Just like in all industries and all trades.
Yeah.
But you know, the architect we had for a start when we were looking at the extension, let's just say I was very pleased then when I met Christian, who was the architect that we used in the end, because all of a sudden I was excited about what we could do, and I had the confidence in, because this is something that we've never done before, and so you need the confidence in the person that you're dealing with to deal with all the problems that you don't know are going to come up. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's not what we do, is it? So if you've got somebody that deals with it and can deal with these problems that they know are going to come up before they come up, then it's worth its weight in gold, to be honest, and probably worth every penny. Yeah.
You found the architect just by locally searching what he's done in the area and thought.
Yeah, the architect was a bit lucky, really. So there was a nice property that I'd seen built by a local builder, and I spoke to the local builder, and he was quite open with who he used as the architect, and that's how I got in touch with him. So it was a bit lucky, but at the end of the day, I think you try and make your own luck in life, don't you? And I mean, I'd never met the guy. I didn't really know how good he was, but I'd seen the work that he's done, and it was really from that first meeting we had with the architect, that we both thought, we felt encouraged by what we heard, shall we say?
Is it that feel thing? You know, when you meet someone and you think, yeah, this feels like a good fit, or was it certain?
Yeah, we spoke to a couple of other architect firms, and I just felt that they weren't on the same wavelength. And
it's important.
You know, that they've got their own ideas, but they weren't taking into account what we wanted. You know?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It was sort of going to be their way or not.
Yeah. Interesting you say that.
Yeah. So, but I think that's really important, that you get somebody you can connect with, and not just, you know, a firm that has not necessarily got has probably got a good reputation, but it's not all about that. It's being able to connect with the person that you're dealing with, really.
It's that collaboration piece, isn't it, between the architect having, you know, as a designer, their interest in wanting to do the best design possible, but also the collaboration of, well, actually, we don't necessarily need this. We functionally need this, and it's that. I know where you're coming from with getting someone who's sort of open to listening rather than being, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because it's the best design.
Yes.
Yeah. From brief.
But then it's interesting talking. Obviously, then once you've got the planning done and you move on to dealing with builders, and you know, I remember one builder saying to me, "Well, you could have done with speaking to us before you speak to the architect, because the architect will put certain things in that not necessarily the builder really thinks may be the best thing." But that's sort of another subject, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? We'll get there. I think that'll be interesting. So it sounds like you found a good architect. No issues there by the sounds of it. Good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And then traditionally built property.
So using brick and block, and like I said, a little bit of render at the front. We've got a flat roof area at the back where the kitchen area is, and things like we were going to have a balcony at the back on the main bedroom, but we didn't do that in the end. So because of cost, really.
Yeah.
It was quite expensive.
Yeah, I've got you. So how did you go about finding the builder, Paul?
Right. So that was because I think obviously this was going to be two properties. I mean, let's go back one stage. What I decided to do once we got planning is I was looking at probably the cost of building both units, and thinking that was giving me sleepless nights, because I do think I've got a note here that you never really know exactly how much it's all going to cost. You know, it's all right somebody saying, well, that'll cost that per square foot or per square meter, but actually you don't. That to me doesn't mean anything. You know, so what I did was we sold, once we got planning permission, Fortunately, I know a local estate agent that had got somebody that wanted a bungalow in the area. So
Wow.
we were put together.
Yeah.
Effectively, then they bought that plot off me, and we both used the same builder to build both units.
Got you. Got you.
Right?
So you got a bit of economies on that then, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. So that was good. And yeah, so that to me that was the most tax efficient way to do it for me.
And you
But
know the neighbour as well.
yeah, absolutely, lovely people, retired, and just generally lovely. And so the builder, yeah. So again, a big choice to make here because of the fact that again you don't really know who you're getting into bed with, and you didn't want somebody too small. To me, I didn't want to project manage this myself
I was
because I
going to
didn't
ask you that. How involved did you get? Was it so you went? The builder came in, main contractor, and
yeah,
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 got you.
because with all the goodwill in the world, I don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't want this to take years to do either. So, which I believed it probably would have been if I'd have tried to manage it myself. So, and plus I've got a job to do myself, So,
Yeah,
yeah, we went for a main contractor, but not somebody that was too small and not somebody that was too big. So we wanted sort of a medium-sized firm, and that's what we found in the end. So there was a local firm that had just built 19 units, not a million miles away from here, and tended to. That was one of their bigger projects. They tend to do sort of 2, 3, 4 bedroom, 4 house units, at a time. So there weren't sort of the one man band small building firms. There was somebody a little bit bigger that could cope with what we wanted to do, and also try and keep it on the time schedule that we wanted to do. Because obviously we needed to move out, and that meant I needed to rent somewhere for some time. I didn't fancy living in a caravan on site personally, but. And that would have been a nightmare during the winter anyway, because it didn't rain, because it didn't stop raining, did it, from last
yeah.
October till about April this year. That would have been an absolute nightmare. So I'm glad we didn't do that. But yeah, the builder, it's difficult because you don't really know what you're getting yourself into.
What issues did you have, Paul? Sounds like there was a few hurdles with the builder.
Well, no, not so much with the builder that we use, but the other builders that I looked at, one lived abroad, which didn't help.
Right.
And I just think sometimes if you get red flags going off, then you just have to realise that those doubts are there for a reason. And I'm not saying you're totally positive about any decision you make when it comes to that type of thing, but I think the lack of the lower amount of red flags, the better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we went main contractor, and we went on an open book situation as well, which people talked to me about and sort of said, are you sure you know what you're doing there? Because is the builder then going to not worry about the cost because it's an open book, and they'll just they won't worry about price. You know what I mean?
Just for those listening, just give them a bit of an overview of what open book is in the
Okay,
building trade.
so obviously you go to a builder and say, could you build me this, please? And they'll give you a price. And then they'll build that price based on a certain sort of criteria and spec, etc.
Yeah.
And I think they use the term of PC sums for this, that, and the other, and all that. Which would have been fine, but the other route is to work on a cost plus situation where effectively you're paying the cost plus a percentage then for the builder and then you'd have obviously prelims on top of that, and it just seemed a more comfortable way to do it,
Yeah.
really. And probably it all comes to about the same figure at the end, to be honest. But I think we were more in control then of what was going on and what the costs were. And I of course, because of the nature of the work that we do, I had a spreadsheet running daily, almost, and the builder would invoice us monthly. So it was all okay. It was a good way to do it.
I think it just opens up a bit a collaborate. This is just personal preference, really. Having been involved in thousands of these, is when you have that sort of cost price transparent relationship with someone you trust or a firm you trust.
Yeah,
it just feels more open. It feels, you go for that sort of job lot. You never get apples for apples on comparisons that I've seen. Yeah. Certain contractors will put in. You've probably seen this if you aren't quoting. They'll put prelims in for different things at different points because some they'll happily price and other elements they won't price. And then, what they're building in for inflation, some will include that in the price, some won't. And then they'll have in the contract, it will be any amendments over and above. So it's really hard to nail down a true fixed price contract. Yeah. And then that, I think, is where you hear the stories sometimes where there's a bit of back and forth and maybe falling out between two parties because maybe that wasn't as transparent as it could be with a cost price contract. That's just personal preference, but I get why you've done it. It sounds like it worked well for you guys, though.
I think it worked all right. I mean, it's the most stressful thing I've done, but because
what were the sort of two things that were that made it that stressful?
I think when you bought somewhere and then you've knocked it down, and so you've paid for something and then you've got nothing. I mean, that was a real difficult thing to cope with psychologically, really, that we hadn't got anything. Do you know what I'm saying? There was a stage for a couple of months where we bought something, knocked it down, and got nothing there, apart from land. That was it, and that was a real difficult thing in the mind to cope with, to be honest. And there was various other things going on at that moment in time as well, which didn't make it any easier. But then of course it started raining and didn't stop raining. So, and
delays.
Delays, but once then the sort of the slabs put in and all the underfloor heating's put in, and you can get a bit of a picture that we are moving in the right direction. I mean, the amount of cost, of course, under the ground is incredible. Things like attenuation tank that we had to have. Bear in mind there was a property here before, and all of a sudden we've got all these planning rules coming in that we've got to have this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Whereas, was this to do with biodiversity net gain or might have been before that kicked in?
I don't know, Mike. I don't know exactly, but we've got a big tank under the ground in the garden, but because there's two properties here now, to stop the flow of water going into the storm drains quickly. I think it's over the top, personally, but anyway, it is what it is. It's not as if it's a massive development with 30 odd houses on it, is it? But
like you say though, Paul, it's money before anything's. There's nothing coming out of the ground. And the money's getting soaked up.
Yeah, and I remember somebody saying to me, something like a good percentage of the money that you'll fork out, you don't see because it's underground.
Yeah,
and but once then, we got to Christmas last year, and then we had a cold spell, so the bricklayers couldn't lay bricks, so that was further delays. Which I'm glad they didn't, to be honest, because obviously you do see some sites where they're still laying bricks and it's 2 degrees or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so I was pleased actually that we were doing things the right way, although all these things are going to delay at the end somehow because they have a knock-on effect, don't they?
How long did it take then, Paul?
Okay, so we demolished the property at the end of August 23, and we moved in at the beginning of October this year. So
well done though. That's quite a good
yeah,
turnaround.
it was supposed to be, it was going to be a 44-week project, but we knew that was going to stretch, and that would have been if everything had gone to plan. So we hoped to be in probably in June, but we weren't.
You're in by Christmas. Famous old saying.
Yeah, we were in beginning of October, and they say, you've been by Christmas, and they say,
which year?
Which year? Yeah. So it's that's how long it took, really.
Do you know what? That is the benefit of having someone manage your build for you.
Yeah.
We'll speak to self builders who are, more involved, and it takes a lot longer, and it can go a lot further down the timeline.
That's interesting because, is that sort of a false economy that people think, actually, if I manage this myself, I'm going to be saving money, but actually, is the time element costing you more money? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't. I always say this to our guys: you can't give an A/B test on life to customers. You just can't do it. But it'd be interesting if you could. I do think sometimes, though, we were speaking to some people, they do genuinely, they're not that worried about the overrun. They just want to get involved and do it.
Yeah.
And I do think other customers want to do it for cost savings exercise. So in those instances, I think you're right. If you've got even a PM potentially who's there a day or two a week, and you pay them, a few quid, it's going to be cheaper than you delaying for 6 months or 8 months or whatever it may be, for sure, personally. But I think it's different folk for different folks. Some people want to get out on the tools,
Yeah. Well, but it's not what we do for a living, is it? So
it's hard. It's really hard, isn't it? If you're working for a living as well, and you've got another job. People do it though. Our customers at Mayflower do it. They have full-time jobs, and they're out and they're working and do it. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I mean, we were still having to make decisions every day.
Yeah.
I'd get a phone call. Well, we've got to make a decision about this. We've got to make a decision about that. Sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a day. But because it was our build, wasn't it? So it's not just somebody doing it and then you're buying it off a builder or whatever. So rightly so, it was our build.
And with regard cost-wise, Paul, did you overrun?
No.
No. The benefit, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it was just a transparent cost plus contract. Did they give you some idea of what they expected it to come in at the beginning?
Yeah. I mean,
pretty much.
I mean, bear in mind, it's almost 3,000 square feet, the property.
Good size, yeah.
So it's a decent size.
Yeah.
And you can see, you can Google that and you can say, well, that can cost anything between that and that.
Yeah.
And I think we were in at about 220 a square foot, to be honest. So
that's pretty good,
Yeah, it wasn't
for a main contracted build.
Yeah,
someone's looking after it all for you.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
very
good.
very good.
And of course, we've tried to go for quite a high end finish as well on everything.
That's really good.
Yeah,
really. That's less than £2,400 a square metre, isn't it?
Yeah,
10.7. Yeah, that's really you've found a blooming good builder there.
Yeah, we've done all right, and of course they use, they've got deals with the sort of what I'm saying about the bathrooms and stuff like that, and the heating, of course, was another subject because we had to have air source heat pump.
Okay, yeah, it's really popular that.